Hello everybody, so today we are in our stubble field and today is the day the red clover seed goes in. So last video you saw us spraying off these three fields and soil sampling. At the time of recording this, the soil samples haven't yet come back. There was a bank holiday weekend in the middle and things just haven't happened yet. But anyway, as you can see, we are a week on from spraying and we have had a very good take of the spray. All the grass is dying and bits of wheat in the gateway where the combine ran it down putting the header on is dying. We didn't check this field for combine losses when we were spraying. We'll just have a quick check now. Good kill on this dock here. A couple of weeds. This is actually the cleanest field. Ooh, falling over. So this is the cleanest stubble out of the three fields. Little bits of grass in here, but nothing like in the other two. Let's try and find, see if we can see a bit of wheat growing from the back of the combine. We did find a couple in the middle field, but that was like 3 in a very big area, so absolutely nothing to be concerned about as far as combine losses go. And there was a little bit growing there. There's 2 seeds growing there. Another one there, but still very difficult to count the numbers that we've lost, so nothing to worry about. Anyway, right, so what we're doing today, we are power harrowing into the stubble, not ploughing. So we had good success last year when we put grass seed in behind the spring wheat at home. We're a bit earlier this year because the red clover needs to be in now. It's getting towards being late for red clover, but we are still in August. So let's make a start. So the other two fields are done. This is the final one to do, and the seed will be going in today. Because tomorrow rain is on the way. Just check things are going as they should be. So this is one of the patches of grass in the stubble. This is what we've just done. So we're just tickling the top inch or inch and a half just to bring up a bit of tilth. It's a little bit wet, but we're going to carry on. Nice, there's plenty of tilth there. We've got a depth, and we are mixing the stubble and that dying grass into the seed bed. Yeah, it is just on the wet side, but it's got to go in today, so we're going to carry on. It will dry out throughout the day, hopefully. Originally the plan for this stubble was to get the clover seed direct drilled in, so that changed for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you saw us last week spraying off all the grass. That was quite long in places. A slight concern, as that long grass died away after being sprayed off, could that have kind of smothered out the new grass and clover coming through? So that was one concern. The second reason, not so much in this field, but in the biggest field in the middle of the three, the sprayer did make a bit of a mess during spraying in the spring. He's sunk in a couple of places, so those ruts needed levelling off anyway to get it into grass before, even if we had a direct drilled it. But yeah, if all three fields were like this one, where it's nice short stubble, reasonably clean of grass weeds, I would have been a bit keener to direct drill. But yeah, anyway, we know this works. This worked well for us last year, just tickling the surface, putting the seed in, so there's no reason why I won't do it again. One thing we're doing slightly different this year to last year, we are rolling ahead of the seed going in. So the seed is being spun on with a fertilizer spreader, but between power harrowing and the seed going in, it is getting rolled. So Ben is here now. He has just started spreading seed. So he rolled the first field yesterday afternoon. I have to finish this one and then get rolling. Whether I'll finish this before he finishes seed on the first field to be able to start rolling the second field, it'll be touch and go. He will probably finish before me. So then he will start rolling, and then I will take the roller on. Wait and see how it goes. Getting over this one quite well. Probably not quite halfway done, because I do still have to do the headland at the end. But see how long it takes him to get the seed in as to what happens next. So almost finished, just got this little final run down headland to do. And then we can get on with rolling. So we do have to make a couple of adjustments to the power harrow to work in stubble rather than ploughed ground. The first of them is we have to wind up the levelling board that runs behind the tines and in front of the packer roller. So wind that up out the way, because soil won't flow underneath that when it has got the stubble in. So that's something I discovered that last year when we were following the spring wheat stubble. Something I've had to do this year that I didn't do last year. You would have seen on the drone footage the wing bits, kind of edge boards on the end of the power harrow. I've had to pick them up out of the way. Last year it wasn't really an issue, but this year it was. The stubble was a little bit longer, and we had more grass in the stubble in the other fields, and that was hanging up as we were passing over the harrowed land. The straw or the stubble and the grass was building up, pushing up and coming away in little piles. Obviously we can't have that in a grass field, or obviously we don't want that. We don't want lumps and bits of piles of stubble. So by folding them up, it is letting a little bit of soil flick out of the end of the power harrow. But it's still level and it's not dragging any stubble along. So that's, it's more important to do that, and then we can get on. So by doing that, it eliminates them lumps and it leaves us a nice, tidy and level across the width field, as you can see. So power harrow is off. We are heading round, get the roller on, and see how he's getting on with the seed in. I'll try and show you some seed, but it's going to be pretty hard to find, but we'll have a look, see what we can see on the floor. Okay, so we will have a scratch around, look for some seed. So grass seed is fairly easy to spot, although not quite as easy as normal in amongst the chaff, but the red clover is very hard to spot. I did see one a minute ago and it's disappeared. There's one right on the end of my fingertip. Little tiny seed there. I can't see another. They'll be around somewhere, but anyway, oh, there's one. Red clover seeds are bigger than white, but still pretty tiny. Anyway, let's make a start on rolling. So why are we putting in red clover? So I keep saying we're going to put red clover in. What we're actually putting in is a red clover and grass seed mix. We're not new to growing red clover. I was going to say we've been growing it for a long time. That's not strictly true. We started growing it probably 1999, year 2000, around that kind of area, when we started our conversion to organic farming. And for all the years that we were organic, we had red clover somewhere growing. One of the problems with red clover, probably its biggest problem, you need a long gap between field. You need a long gap. You need a long break between crops. So this what we're planting now today should do 3 years of cropping. So it'll be in the ground for 3 years, and you plough it out and you put something else in, and you have to leave between 5 to 7 years before you go back into red clover. So that's kind of a 10-year cycle almost, for 3 years of crop and 7 years of rest. And we grew it a lot when we were organic, and we simply ran out of places to grow it. And we got to the point where everywhere needed a break, and we just couldn't put any more in, which is a shame because it is a very good crop. The clover gives it a higher protein content than just grass. Doesn't need any nitrogen. We never obviously when we were organic, we never put nitrogen on it anyway, but we did. It likes a slurry. Whether we'll put a little tickle of nitrogen on this in the spring to get it going, I don't know yet. Not quite sure how we're going to manage that. But yeah, it raises the protein, it saves on your fertilizer, and it is very drought tolerant. So a red clover plant has a taproot very similar to a dock, massive big chunky thing that goes a long way down, and it stays green, pretty much always stays green, because it can root down so deep, finding the moisture that the grass can. And we would expect to get 3 good cuts off of this, potentially 4 if we got early enough in the spring, but that's not very often. Although it is pretty much just a cutting crop. Some people do graze it, but you can then run into bloat problems in the cattle caused by the clover. So this will just be intended for cutting for silage, taking it home, clamping it. So we are rolling now. So this is rolling ahead of the seed going in. The reason for rolling it, we want to make sure because the clover seed is so tiny, we want to make sure it doesn't go too deep. The power harrow does leave a little bit of a ridged finish. The packer roller on the back, or the crumbler roller on the back. And we don't want to potentially bury a seed under too much soil, so we're rolling it first, sprinkling the seed on, and then rolling it again. All the stubble and the trash on the surface is making it very tricky to see where I've been. I've done that side, but it's quite hard to see where we've been and where we haven't. But we'll roll it, seed in, and then roll it again later on. And the second roll in is even harder than the first to see where you're going. So here we go, the final little run, and that is job completed. Yeah, so hopefully in next spring we'll have a mountain of grass this tall ready to fill the silage clamp up. So yes, subscribe and come back in the spring. There will be a video before then, I'm sure. Right, so now we are 11 days on from sowing, back in the field. So fertiliser is going on today, but quickly before we talk about the fertiliser, let's have a quick look at what's growing. So you can see a very faint hint of green across the field. You can see the tram lines where the sprayer ran down the crop to spray, and also you can see exactly in the gateway where the combine backed in to put the header on. Anyway, that's unavoidable, but let's look at what we're here to look at. So we are looking at the grass and clover. So here's clover doing very well, storming away, and the grass is coming nicely too. A few bits of wheat, nothing drastic to worry about, but the clover is really pleasing for a reasonably short space of time. Okay, so this went in on a dry day, and it did rain the following day. I think, did we have a ½ inch of rain, something like that? So that's exactly what we wanted. Got it going, it got it away. So we've waited this long to get the fertiliser on because today is Monday. The 7 days previous to today, we have been in 30-degree heat every day of the week for the last 7 days. It's actually not affected the crop like I was fearing. The clover has survived, it's come through well. But we didn't bring the fertiliser up last week, and we didn't want to put the fertiliser on in that extreme heat. So we wanted to wait for it to cool down before we drove on it. And rain is coming tomorrow, and you can see it's dull, it's grey, and it's just spitting a little bit now. So we're going to get the fertiliser on today while it's dry and cooler. Okay, so here is our PK fertiliser. So this is what we've got. So this is 4 bags. I'll try and show you the analysis. It's 0, 20, 30. So no nitrogen, 20, 30 of P&K. So this will be going on at about 100 kilos an acre. Okay, so 4 bags, all the same. Okay, so these pinky bits are the fertiliser. This is all nice and evenly spread out, and that will just overwinter as the rain just dissolve into the soil, and that will then bring up the indices, and we will have to keep on top of that. Okay, so this dose hopefully will bring our indices back up following the recommendations of the soil sample, and then for the lifetime of this crop we won't put any nitrogen on it because of the red clover, so we'll just get P&K. Whether that can be just a once a year application, I don't know. We'll have to work that out, because last time we grew red clover we couldn't add anything to it back in the old organic days. So I'm not actually sure how often we need to top up the P&K during the cutting season. Leave us a comment, or if not, we'll find out for next year. Anyway, yes, so this application should bring it up, and then we just need to maintain it depending on what slurry we get put on, if any. So that should now give us a full video. Cultivating, planting, seeing its growth, fertilising it. So now once this fertiliser is on, we won't touch this now until we get the mower in here next year. So there we go. So obviously we will do that. So that will be this will probably be one of the very first fields to cut, or this will be the first block to cut in the spring, hopefully, if things work out well, because it'll be 18 inches tall by the end of April if things go to plan. Anyway, right, so there we go. I would say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.